Kwe Palashi. Good morning. Bonjour à tous. Mon nom est Carol Scott et je vous souhaite la bienvenue au nom de la communauté de l'Église Centrale Unie. We are not a traditional United Church, and you may find that the flow of the service is unusual. Sachez que vous êtes les bienvenus, and we invite you to participate in any way that engages you.
Welcome, everyone. As we move into this time together, we first acknowledge where we are and who we are. We use 7 stones to remind us of the 7 sacred teachings embraced by the Indigenous people: love, courage, respect, honesty, wisdom, humility, and truth. In the Moncton region, we acknowledge that these lands and waters have been the unceded ancestral homes of the Mi'kmaq peoples within the Passamaquoddy Confederacy since time immemorial. Wherever we live, may our relationship to this territory and its people be grounded in peace and friendship.
From earth, from water, our people grew to love each other in this manner. For in all our languages, there is no he or she. We are the children of the earth and of the sea.
We light candles to acknowledge who we are. A rainbow candle is lighted, announcing that Central United Church is a safe place for all people to participate fully, regardless of faith or no faith, age, marital status, ability, or socioeconomic circumstance, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, ethnicity, or race. The community candle speaks of our rootedness in Christian tradition, which invites us to live in the Jesus way and to be conscious of future generations with every choice we make today. What are we protecting and leaving for those who will come after us?
Listen to these words of invitation from Rumi, a 13th century poet, Islamic scholar, theologian, and Sufi mystic from a prominent region in Greater Iran. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. It doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you have broken your vow 1,000 times. Come yet again, come, come.
Our opening hymn is from More Voices, number 12, Come Touch Our Hearts.
Come touch our hearts that we may know compassion. From failing embers build a blazing fire. Love strong enough to overturn injustice, to seek a world more gracious. Come touch and bless our hearts. Come touch our souls that we may know and love
We are not people of the book. We are people of the story. At Central, we endeavor to delve into the texts suggested by the Common Lectionary to amplify our understanding of today's local and global realities. We look for kernels of truth that guide us to seek love, peace, and justice for all. What if we read today's psalm as if being an Indigenous person, facing untoward violence simply for being vulnerable, crying out to the Creator? Psalm 31 is a prayer and praise for deliverance from enemies. To the leader, a psalm of David. In you, O Lord, I seek refuge. Do not let me ever be put to shame. In your righteousness, deliver me. Incline your ear to me. Rescue me speedily. Be a rock of refuge for me, a strong fortress to save me. You are indeed my rock and my fortress. For your name's sake, lead me and guide me. For you are my refuge. Into your hand I commit my spirit. You have redeemed me, O Lord, faithful God. The second reading this morning is from 1 Peter 2:6, and I'm reading from the New Revised Standard Version. While this is being read, consider the symbolism available in the 7 stones stacked on the table and the teachings they impart. For it stands in Scripture, see, I am laying in Zion a stone, a cornerstone chosen and precious, and whoever believes in him will not be put to shame.
Thank you, Sheila. And thank you to all of you for being here today. I have to admit, this has been a hard service to put together. And as I mentioned to Sheila and I mentioned to Dennis, I wasn't able to write it down. I tried and tried to write a reflection and I just couldn't. There are so many things that have been happening recently that it's just, the words weren't able to go on the page, so I'm just going to talk to you. And thank you, Paul, for your beautiful, your sensitivity with the music. And Dave and Sheila have an apology to each of them. Sheila, first of all, I switched up that second scripture reading and didn't quite get into the bulletin that Anna had, and then it had to be sent again and all that stuff. Keeps you on the toes. And Dave, just this very morning, there's a little video that's going to be shown after the reflection, and I had already sent one, Jeremy Dutcher singing the honor song, and just this morning I woke up and I thought, no, I've got to do that other one instead. So just this morning I scrambled and sent it off, and Dave didn't receive it, and I had to send it again, and he's got it. So, welcome to this sacred place. This sacred place. A place where sometimes people are considered trash and can be disposed of as being less than, as being worthless. Not only have we heard recently about the murdered and missing Indigenous women, girls, men, boys, Two-Spirit people, and the whole political palaver that went on when the previous Manitoba government said, we're not going to sort through the Manitoba City dump, the Winnipeg City dump, for murdered women. Like, are you crazy? Like, it's really, really expensive. You won't find them anyway. Good morning, Bill. Glad you're here. And when Wab Kinew got elected, one of the first things he did was saying, we are going to find those women, whatever condition they are in. They're human beings. They deserve to be found and given proper recognition for their lives. On May 1st was the 30th anniversary of my friend Jose Racino's walk across Canada. On May 1st, he left Charlottetown on foot. On International Labor Day, and he walked across the country, and he ended up in Tofino in November. Jose is a very close friend of mine, and his story kind of mirrors what we have here. During the 1980s, but actually from the 1960s until 1996, when the peace accord was actually signed, which is a very tenuous accord. There was a lot of repression and violence against the Indigenous peoples. And specifically in the 1980s, the violence increased. The military, under the encouragement and support of the CIA, were suppressing the Indigenous people, going through Indigenous villages, torching their cornstalk houses, raping the women, taking the children away from their families, pressing some of the young boys into the civil society repression, murdering the men. And Jose, as a young person between the ages of 13 and 18, was going into some of the forested areas, along with, I think there were 13 of them, young teenagers, who were finding medicine and food and clothing and so on, and taking them into the forest where people had been fleeing. He was considered a guerrilla, a resistor, and he wasn't. He just had compassion for his people. Anyway, eventually the military caught up with him. They detained him, beat him up, took him to a clandestine jail, and tortured him. And I can't recall the number of days he was in one of those detention centers. Anyway, it's on my Facebook page, a little clip of his experience. And eventually, when he was not giving them the information that they were seeking, they basically stabbed him in the heart, left him for dead, and dumped him in the Guatemala City dump. And what they were doing during those days, the campesinos would go under the shelter of night to look for bodies and to take them and give them decent burial. And when they came across Jose's body, they realized there was a thread of life there. And so they took him to a clandestine doctor, and little by little he revived, and when he got well enough, he went back to his home community of Huehuetenango and told his mother that all the scars and everything was because he had been in a motorcycle accident, and those were the wounds. Didn't dare tell his family what really happened, because then they would have been targeted. Anyway, he walked across the Cuchumatanes Mountains, found refuge in Mexico, and eventually came to Canada as a refugee. I've been to the Guatemala City dump. a few years later, my friends Richard and Susan began an education project and at the city dump to provide early childhood education for the children. And again, the spin-off, of course, was for their families, of people who were harvesting the dump, looking for whatever they could salvage, old plastic chairs, buckets, whatever they could find, to be able to sell on the street for mere quetzales, pennies. So I've seen the dump. And when you go and you stand on the rim over the dump, you see the turkey vultures circling, looking for pickings from the garbage bags. And then you see the garbage trucks coming in from the different angles. And you see the humans who are running after the trucks, put their hands on it so that when the truck dumped its load, they would be the first ones to get that bag of garbage and pick through it, especially if it was from one of the good zones in Guatemala City that would have more wealthy kind of refuse. And as we stood there, the question was, who's going to get the better pickings, the turkey vultures or the humans? And it was forever impressed in my memory, that dump. Little white coffins of babies, people just being disposed of. And we know that in this country that we call Canada, the repression, and there's a difference between colonialism and settler colonialism. Colonialism, basically, when people come in and colonize the land, and the land is kind of shared with the people who already were there. Settler colonialism is violent. It's when the settlers come in and intentionally target the people who are living there to push them off the land, to exterminate them, to terrorize them. And that's what happened in our country with settler colonialism. And we all know the stories of residential schools. The people were rounded up, they were put into reserves, they had to get a pass from the Indian agent in order to leave, to go to a hospital or to go into town to get their supplies. Settler colonialism. It's very violent. And we know that a lot of indigenous people were targeted. Blatant racism. Whether they were women trying to make a living to feed their kids in ways that we would say, oh my gosh, that's horrible. A lot of the women would have been where the resource extractions and the pipelines were, because those were the man camps. Hundreds of people in a camp to work in the oil industry. And they worked long hours, they worked really hard, and their testosterone levels were also pretty high. And the women were often victim of that reality. So we know that in Winnipeg, 4 women were accosted, abused, murdered, and left in the dump. In Gaza, settler colonialism is alive and well. People are being rounded up. Bombs are intentionally dropped with our very, very highly sophisticated drones that can identify exactly where that journalist is, exactly where that doctor is, and exterminate them. So all of these things have been weighing heavy on my heart. Gaza, Lebanon, Iran, all the targeted areas. And of course, we know in Sudan, Congo, in Cuba, there are all kinds of unacceptable violence that is happening. But it's the city dumps that often are the burial grounds for people who have, their lives have been snuffed out and they're left as trash. God don't make no trash. And I feel it's easy to talk with this community because your hearts are open and have been for a long time. But it's hard to talk about it. It's hard to talk about my friend Jose. And he sent me a message on May 1st saying, remember Carol 30 years ago? Seems like yesterday. He opened my eyes. My friends Richard and Susan, who 25 years ago started an early childhood education project around the city dump and also in some of the indigenous Mayan communities in the mountains around. I'm going to be going to Ottawa to celebrate their 25th anniversary. It's a celebration, it's joy. So we have to celebrate when people stand up. We have to celebrate when those murdered people are found. We have to celebrate when education is made available for the children and helping the parents to understand how better to parent their children because they are victims of the systemic violence that has plagued them generation after generation. And what's happening in Gaza, and we know that the flotilla set sail across the Mediterranean, and before they got any further than to around Greece, the Israeli IOF, Israeli occupation force, came and surrounded them, terrorized them, kidnapped them. Blatant piracy, illegal by international law. A lot of the participants on the flotilla and their whole mission was to raise awareness for people around the world to say this has got to stop. The people of Gaza have been under occupation for decades, not just since October the 7th, 2023. They were bringing food and supplies, but their main thing was bring awareness. And two of the main activists, Saif, who is of Palestinian heritage, and, oh my gosh, I'm blanking, from Brazil, they were taken into detention into Israel, where they then would be called terrorists. And in the eyes of the world, by calling them terrorists, they can be given all kinds of torture treatment or, given sentences or life sentences for terrorizing Israel. Think about that. Our government have been very silent, as they were during the scorched earth in Guatemala. They've been very silent when it comes to missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, men, boys, and two-spirit persons. However, another thing to celebrate, there was an inquiry into the missing, the murdered people. And it took them several years. This came after the TRC, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which you're all very familiar with. And the inquiry, the recommendations were tabled in the House of Commons. To this day, not one has been followed through on. 200 and, I don't have it here. Anyway, I think it's 216 recommendations. And thank you to Wayne for making sure everybody got a little red dress pin. I don't think you got yours, did you? They're there. And there is a website, you can look it up, just to understand what were some of the recommendations that they have suggested for us as a non-Indigenous population. It's heartbreaking stuff. We have to keep reminding ourselves that these things have happened. These things continue to happen in various places around the world. It's the same story. It's violent, it's unacceptable, it's contrary to international law, and still the perpetrators get through this with impunity. So it's up to us as people of conscience and heart to focus on the news when we can. It's heavy. There are times I don't want to listen to the news, and I turn it off. And it's like, no, they're living, and I guess I can tolerate listening to another story. But it's up to us, I think, to write our MPs, write our Prime Minister, write not only the CEOs of the fossil fuel industries and all of that, but write cards of thanks. That's what Citizens for Peace have been doing recently. Cards of thanks when they see good choices. When Leah Gazan tabled her arms embargo bill in the House of Commons, all of the Conservatives voted against it. All of the Bloc Québécois voted against it. Most of the Liberals voted against it. Elizabeth May of the Green Party, all of the NDP caucus, which is very small as we know, and 22 Liberals voted for it to go forward. So Citizens for Peace hand-wrote thank you cards and sent them to those MPs for saying thank you for standing up. It was defeated, but you stood up. And we're trying to do that. When we hear those good stories of people having the courage, and not saying, there's nothing we can do, it's too hard, I'm too tired, it's a done deal. I was at a meeting on Wednesday night, and I practically left because one of my friends in the meeting said, the genocide, it's all over for those people, forget it. I was outraged. We cannot say there's nothing we can do. We cannot accept genocide in any country. We cannot accept people to be murdered, gone missing, and police and authorities say, it's too expensive, it's too hard. We don't know where they are. If they're white, sure, we'll beat the bushes till we find them. So I'm going to go to the dump, and I'm going to see if I can find any of those missing people. Found one. Little girl. Maybe 3, 4 maybe. Indigenous man or two-spirit person. We don't know what happened to him. Something. A beautiful Indigenous woman. And Dave, if you could play the clip, that would be great. And if Claire, you could come up and help restore our beautiful dress.
You know, sometimes they say all you can share is a song. So I just wanted to share a Lakota song here for you folks. It's a Sundance song. Yeah, absolutely. Always take the strawberry. Sure. Ala wakile, you hametsu yapo, meksu yapo. Hey, oh, hey, ay, holo wakile, hey, apo, mixu yapo, hey, apo, hey, hello, holo wakile, you ha mixu yapo, mixu yapo, hey, oh, hey, ay. Holo wakile, ahiapo, mixu yapo, ahiapo, holo wakile, yuha mixu yapo, mixu yapo, hey, oh, hey, ay, holo wakile, ahiapo, mixu yapo, ahiapo, hey, hey, Lord. Holo wakile, yuha mixu yapo, mixu yapo, hey, oh, hey, ay. Holo wakile, ahiapo, mixu yapo, ahiapo, hey, hey, Lord. The words to the song in Lakota are with a sacred song. Remember me. Remember me with a sacred song. That's for the band. Here we
Thanks, Dave. And our hymn to follow the reflection is from More Voices, number 78, God Weeps.
God weeps at love without, at strength misused, at children's innocence abused.
Just for today, I'm going to light a candle for all those who have been murdered and missing. And Sheila's going to give thanks on behalf of us all.
At Central, we give thanks for this community of faith, for the gifts of time, talent, and sponsorship. We are grateful for those who use their creativity and devotion for the greater good of all our relations, human and non-human. We give thanks for those who question and those who inspire, those who lead and those who follow. May we continue to seek understanding in order to respond to injustices within Indigenous communities, as well as beyond into the broader global spheres.
As a community, we bring our hopes, dreams, joys, and concerns to this place. Let us share our prayers with one another. First, I'd like to thank Carol for her compassionate communication and leadership. It's so inspiring.
I'd like to add to that comment. I hadn't planned to be here until last night, and now I know why. I was supposed to be here because I've not felt the power of this place since Val did her series on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, since Jim and Myrna taught us through their experiences of what's gone on in Gaza. And for me, it's the core of what the power is of this place and of its commitment to social justice. And as I know we navigate through who we are, who we've been, who we're going to become, I hope we don't lose that, because it's rare that you can show up in a place like this and hear as powerful a message rooted in our spirituality, but so relevant to what we see every day. So thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Dave.
I would also like to thank Carol and Val and Jim before her in helping us honor Truth and Reconciliation Commission Call to Action number 59. Calls on church parties to the Indian Residential School Settlement Agreement to educate their congregations on their historical role in colonization. This requires teaching why historical apologies to survivors, their families, and communities were necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. So true.
Thank you very much, Carol. You are our voice that reminds us of things that we should all always remember. And thank you for taking it to such heart on what you share with us. On another note, I'd like to bring the thoughts and prayers of our community to the Goodwin family as they walk their final days with Kathleen. She is very poor, and they have all come home, and I'm doing my best as a helper up there as well. But it is important for them that her mother, their mother, be remembered at the time that they used to all be here and brought up in Central. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Again, thank you, Carol, for the beautiful reflection. I think it's really important to remember that while maybe we weren't alive during the time of residential schools, I was born in 2000. I think the last one closed in 1996. Even though I wasn't alive, I still technically have a part to play in that history, and we all do, regardless of our involvement in it. To choose to be a Christian, you also have to come to terms with the fact that historically, this faith has hurt people. Not just Indigenous people, there were the Crusades, there was Inquisition in Spain. There are so many instances of Christianity being used to hurt people, and I think to be a Christian is to accept that that happened and that you have to be responsible about that history and acknowledge your role in the ongoing tradition and to commit yourself to not letting it happen again. I think a lot of people of the Christian faith have kind of forgotten that. Sure, you might not be the one holding the blade or the one with blood on your hands directly, but you have to stand up when people are using your faith to commit these atrocities. I think obviously modern day examples would be the genocide in Palestine. A lot of people are not really standing up for the Palestinians, and sure, Israel might not be Christian, but there are a lot of Christian nationalists who are standing by the Israeli government and what they're doing. And I think it's up to people like this community and other like-minded Christians that we keep standing up for those who can't, and not let history repeat itself.
Thank you for that broader view.
This is why I love you all. And actually in Palestine, there are Christians. The first community are under target all the time, which is, they're saying that Bethlehem, the Christian sector of Bethlehem, might not be around in 2050.
Mm.
It's brutal. But here we are.
Targeted in Lebanon as well, I believe.
Yes, the Christian community. What's happening with the Muslims, what's happening with the Christians, and what's happening with many of the Jewish people in that region are being targeted for speaking up. In our own country, World Beyond War, Rachel Small, who is a Jewish person living in Montreal, she is vociferous. She does not let go of speaking up. We have amazing people here in Canada who are speaking up all the time. Peter Larson in Ottawa is just, he writes letters tirelessly, puts on podcasts. There are good people here in Ottawa, and we need to hold them up and thank them when we hear reports or see things that they have done we have to hold them up so that they don't get tired because they're our voices. And I see you're wearing Dreamcatcher earrings, and Sheila has lovely earrings on. And I guess that's the other thing is my good friend, the late Ned Bear, who is Wolastoqey, used to kind of say, because I had a little Dreamcatcher on my rear view mirror, and one time he just kind of hit it, and he says, "What's this, Carol?" And we have to be careful not to do cultural appropriation, but cultural appreciation is okay. I mean, I've got a feather, that's my allyship, but it's not saying like we're wannabes. We can't be. We have our own ancestry and our own heritage and our own stories to work with. So, cultural appreciation. Anyway, Sarah, over to you.
For each hope, dream, joy, and concern, uttered aloud or in silence, and for each human one denied the freedom to express their own truth, for fear of discrimination or condemnation, we light a candle of care this day. In caring for one another,
May we be untiring.
in challenging one another,
May we be respectful.
in sheltering one another,
May we be strong.
in holding one another,
May we be tender.
in the expectations we have for one another,
May we be realistic.
in the songs we sing with one another,
May we seek harmony.
and in loving one another.
May we be all these things and more.
May this community be enlightened and empowered to respond meaningfully and appropriately to the reflections and prayers offered. May that which is sacred within us and around us reveal those important possibilities that await our engagement.
Our closing hymn is from More Voices, number 79, Spirit, Open My Heart.
Spirit, open my heart to the joy and pain of living. As you love, may I love in receiving and in giving. Spirit, open my heart. God, replace my stony heart with a heart that's kind and tender. All my coldness and fear, do
We have much to ponder. Many apartheid practices that were employed during the emergence of the colonial country we now call Canada continue to adversely affect Indigenous peoples today. Are we at Central capable of participating in acts of reconciliation and reparation? We do not need to figure out the impact of colonialism all on our own. We have had commissions and reports gathered over many years, which offer us concrete steps to take if we wish to participate in acts of decolonization for all our relations. We also parables and scriptures from the Jesus days that command us to love our neighbor. May we become ever more intentional in responding meaningfully to the truth and reconciling calls to action as extensions of the calls of the church to follow the way of Jesus. Amen.
The formal part of this gathering has now ended, and we move into a time for sharing and connecting as a community. We all have different schedules and commitments. If you need to be somewhere else, please feel free to leave at any time. We appreciate your presence with us today and hope you will join us again very soon. Are there any announcements to be made this morning in addition to what went out in the email?